Imagine standing up from a chair, walking down a flight of stairs, or even dancing with ease, and feeling a power in your body you thought was fading with time. That power comes from one of the most overlooked muscles in the human body, the glutes. Before demonstrating exercises or trying new routines, remind the audience. As always, consult a healthcare provider before beginning any new exercise program, especially if you have pre-existing conditions or concerns. When we talk about the human body, we often focus on what is most visible, arms, abs, or perhaps the cardiovascular system, but the glutes tucked at the base of the torso quietly hold a disproportionate amount of power over our daily lives. They're more than just a seat. They're the engines of movement, stabilizers of the pelvis, and gatekeepers of balance. The gluteal muscles, gluteus maximus, medius, and minimus, work together in a symphony that allows us to walk, climb stairs, rise from a chair, and even maintain an upright posture without conscious thought. Yet, as we age, it is all too easy for these muscles to become dormant, overshadowed by convenience and inactivity. Science tells us that after 50, muscle mass begins to decline, a phenomenon known as sarcopenia, and it is here that the glutes quietly betray us if neglected. But the story is not one of inevitable decline. Rather, it is a testament to resilience and adaptability. Our bodies retain the capacity for strength and power well into our later decades, provided we challenge the muscles in the right ways. When we move intentionally, the glutes respond with a combination of strength and stability that cascades through the kinetic chain of the body. They influence the knees, hips, and lower back, acting as both shock absorbers and drivers of force. Weak glutes shift the burden elsewhere, onto joints and ligaments not designed to carry it, which can lead to discomfort, imbalance, and even injury. But when we invest attention in these muscles, even in subtle, consistent ways, we restore an efficiency of movement that feels almost effortless. There's a quiet poetry in this process. A muscle that was once dormant awakens, fibers recruit in harmony, and suddenly, the simple act of standing up feels more grounded, more powerful, more connected. Beyond function, glutes have metabolic significance. They are large muscles, and activating them through exercise stimulates energy expenditure, improves insulin sensitivity, and enhances circulation. In other words, building stronger glutes is not just about aesthetics or mobility. It is about promoting systemic health at a cellular level, supporting metabolism, hormone regulation, and cardiovascular well-being. The science reveals a subtle truth. Strength in the glutes translates to resilience throughout the body. Yet perhaps the most profound aspect lies in the experience itself. Engaging these muscles invites a form of mindful embodiment. The simple act of consciously contracting, lifting, or bridging becomes a dialogue with the body, a way of acknowledging that vitality does not have to fade with age. Each movement is a reminder that strength is not solely a measure of appearance, but of capability, independence, and the freedom to inhabit one's body fully. The glutes, often overlooked, offer a bridge between biology and lived experience, a point where physiology and philosophy intersect, where science meets the human desire for vitality and grace. As we grow older, the human body undergoes subtle shifts that are often invisible until they begin to affect movement, posture, or energy. After 50, muscle fibers, the intricate threads that generate force, gradually diminish in both size and number, particularly the fast-twitch fibers responsible for bursts of power and explosive movement. These fibers are the ones that lift us from a chair with ease, propel us upstairs without strain, or allow a sudden pivot without losing balance. Their decline, a natural part of aging, is not a sentence but a biological signal that the body requires targeted engagement to maintain its potential. Scientific studies have shown that resistance training, even with modest loads, can stimulate these fibers and increase both their cross-sectional size and neural recruitment. This is the remarkable adaptability of the human body. Muscle is not static. It responds, reshapes, and strengthens in response to demand. Muscle loss does not occur in isolation. It is accompanied by changes in connective tissue, hormonal shifts, and alterations in neuromuscular coordination. Collagen in tendons and ligaments can become less elastic, balance can subtly decline, and joint stability can waver. When the glutes are neglected, the impact of these changes is magnified. Weak glutes force compensations elsewhere, often in the lower back, hips, or knees, which can accelerate discomfort or risk of injury. Yet the converse is equally true. When glutes are engaged and strengthened, they act as stabilizers and shock absorbers, protecting other structures while restoring efficient movement patterns. There's a quiet, almost poetic symmetry in this. The muscles most vulnerable to aging are also the ones that, when activated, yield the greatest return in both strength and resilience. Science also reveals that muscle is more than mechanical tissue. It is a dynamic organ that communicates with the body. Contracting the glutes triggers metabolic and hormonal responses, influencing insulin sensitivity, blood flow, and even mood. Strength training stimulates mitochondria, the energy factories within muscle cells, improving their function and contributing to vitality at a cellular level. It is a reminder that movement is not merely external. It resonates inside the body, shaping physiology in ways that ripple across systems. This awareness transforms exercise from a routine task into an act of intentional care, a way of supporting both structure and function as one ages. Perhaps most profound is the psychological dimension of reclaiming strength after 50. There's a subtle shift in perception when one recognizes that decline is not absolute, that the body remains responsive to stimulus, and that the capacity for movement, power, and stability can be rekindled. Strength becomes not merely a physical achievement, but a symbol of agency, a reminder that the body, despite the passage of time, remains a responsive and adaptable instrument. Each deliberate contraction, each controlled movement, is a reaffirmation that vitality is not a matter of age, but of engagement, curiosity, and consistency, and that science provides both the map and the means to navigate this journey with awareness. When we begin to think about the body in motion, it becomes clear that not all movements are created equal. Some exercises are more than routines. They are keys that unlock dormant strength, restore function, and reconnect us to the mechanics our bodies were designed to perform. Among these, the hip hinge and the glute bridge stand out as deceptively simple yet profoundly effective tools for awakening the glutes. The hip hinge, a movement rooted in the act of bending at the hips while maintaining a neutral spine, mirrors countless natural motions we perform every day, from picking up objects to bending to tie our shoes. It emphasizes the posterior chain, engaging the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back in a coordinated pattern that not only builds strength, but reinforces proper movement mechanics. The beauty of this exercise lies in its alignment with human design. It is a movement the body knows, yet one that is often underutilized in modern sedentary lifestyles. The glute bridge, by contrast, isolates and intensifies the contraction of the glutes while also recruiting the core and stabilizing muscles. Lying supine and lifting the hips toward the ceiling, we create a chain reaction of activation that travels from the pelvis through the femur and down to the feet. Science demonstrates that this exercise recruits both slow and fast-twitch muscle fibers, which is especially important after 50 when fast-twitch fibers begin to atrophy. The bridge encourages controlled hip extension, promotes pelvic stability, and retrains neural pathways that may have become dulled by years of sitting. Each repetition is an opportunity to refine motor patterns, to bring awareness to a part of the body that often goes unnoticed, and to rebuild strength with precision rather than brute force. What makes these movements remarkable is not just their effectiveness in isolation, but their role in restoring functional integration across the body. Strong glutes reduce compensatory strain on the lower back and knees, improving posture and gait. They enhance balance, making stair climbing, bending, and lifting safer and more efficient. The exercises do more than sculpt. They recalibrate the way the body distributes force, teaching muscles to work together harmoniously rather than in fragmented patterns. It is a reminder that fitness is not about chasing aesthetics, but about cultivating movement literacy, the ability to inhabit one's body with both competence and grace. There is also a philosophical dimension to these movements, an invitation to mindfulness and presence. Unlike exercises performed at high speed or with distraction, the hip hinge and glute bridge demand attention. The shoulders, spine, pelvis, and feet must align in careful coordination. This focus creates a dialogue between mind and body, a feedback loop where intention guides action and action informs awareness. The process becomes meditative, a quiet observation of how muscles contract, how joints move, how strength manifests when cultivated with patience. Science and introspection converge here, revealing that the power of these exercises is not measured solely in kilograms lifted or repetitions completed, but in the restoration of function, confidence, and the subtle joy of moving with ease. Each repetition becomes a statement of possibility, a reaffirmation that age does not dictate decline, that muscles can respond, adapt, and regain vitality when engaged thoughtfully, and that the simplest movements, when performed with awareness, hold the greatest capacity for transformation. The body is not simply a collection of muscles and bones moving in isolation. It is a network of signals, feedback loops, and conscious awareness. Every contraction of a muscle begins in the brain, where neurons fire in patterns that guide movement, stabilize posture, and coordinate force. This mind-muscle connection becomes increasingly important after 50, when efficiency in neural recruitment can decline and movement patterns may become more cautious or fragmented. Engaging the glutes is not merely a mechanical act. It is an exercise in awareness, a dialogue between intention and action. When we focus on the glutes during a hip hinge or glute bridge, we are effectively training the nervous system to recognize and activate these muscles with precision, creating pathways that strengthen not just the body, but the communication that makes coordinated movement possible. Neuroscience shows that this neural activation is a form of learning that continues throughout life. The motor cortex adapts to repeated practice, improving recruitment of the targeted muscles while reducing compensatory reliance on other structures. This is why someone who has weak glutes often unconsciously shifts effort to the lower back or hamstrings. The nervous system defaults to patterns that feel easier because the glutes are underutilized. By deliberately engaging these muscles, we teach the body to move as it was designed, redistributing effort in a way that is both more efficient and safer. Each mindful repetition becomes a lesson in motor control, a small act of rewiring that reinforces proper posture, joint stability, and the fluidity of movement. The concept extends beyond strength and injury prevention. It touches on energy and coordination. When the glutes fire correctly, they act as primary drivers of locomotion, absorbing shock, generating propulsion, and stabilizing the pelvis. The nervous system integrates these signals seamlessly, translating microscopic muscle contractions into effortless walking, climbing, or standing. This integration explains why two individuals of the same age and fitness level can feel so different in movement. One may feel stiff and unstable, while the other moves with a sense of ease, power, and confidence. The difference is often in the quality of neural engagement, in the ability to call the muscles into action when needed rather than letting them remain dormant. Mindful movement also carries an emotional and psychological dimension. Paying attention to the body in motion fosters a sense of presence, turning exercise into a form of meditation. Each controlled hip hinge, each glute bridge, becomes an opportunity to inhabit the body fully, to observe how strength manifests, to notice subtle improvements in stability, alignment, and endurance. The act of consciously recruiting muscles cultivates a deep respect for what the body can do, transforming training from a chore into an exploration of capability. There is a profound satisfaction in witnessing the nervous system respond to intention, in feeling dormant fibers awaken, and in knowing that this awareness translates to daily life. Walking more confidently, rising from a chair with ease, or bending without strain. In this way, strength training evolves into more than building muscle. It becomes a symphony of body and mind, a collaboration between neurons and fibers, intention and contraction, science and lived experience, demonstrating that the simplest exercises, performed with focus, can restore not only movement, but a sense of embodied vitality. Strength and vitality do not emerge from a single repetition, a single week, or even a single month of effort. They are cultivated over time, nurtured by consistent engagement and the patience to honor the body's natural rhythms. After 50, this principle becomes even more essential because the process of adaptation is slower yet profoundly responsive when approached with awareness. Muscles grow, neural pathways strengthen, and movement efficiency improves not through haste, but through repeated, thoughtful practice that respects the body's limits while gently inviting it to exceed them. Each session becomes a small investment in resilience, a dialogue between intention and biological response, reminding us that the journey towards strength is ongoing and cumulative rather than instantaneous. Compassion is a critical component of this process. Many people approach exercise with an internalized urgency, feeling that they must reclaim lost youth or compensate for years of inactivity. Yet the most sustainable gains arise when training is paired with kindness toward the self. Recognizing that fatigue, soreness, and occasional setbacks are natural signals rather than failures allows us to continue without judgment. The glutes, like any other muscle, respond best when challenged progressively, not when overstrained. Science supports this approach. Gradual overload, adequate recovery, and consistency create the optimal environment for hypertrophy, neural adaptation, and functional improvement. Patience and respect for the body's capacity transform exercise from a task into a practice, a daily affirmation of care and curiosity. Consistency also fosters confidence, a subtle but powerful reward of sustained effort. As the glutes strengthen, posture improves, balance stabilizes, and movements that once felt strenuous begin to feel effortless. Walking upstairs, bending to lift objects, or standing from a chair becomes an exercise in control rather than a test of endurance. This growing capability reinforces the mind-body connection, enhancing awareness of alignment, muscle engagement, and proprioception. Over time, these small victories accumulate into a profound sense of embodied autonomy, where strength is not only measured by physical output, but by the freedom to inhabit one's body fully and without fear of strain or injury. The process of building strength in the glutes and in the body as a whole becomes a metaphor for life itself. It requires patience, attentiveness, and a willingness to embrace small, consistent actions rather than seek immediate results. Each repetition, each mindful contraction, becomes a reaffirmation that age does not dictate decline and that the body retains remarkable adaptability when treated with intention and care. The quiet discipline of regular practice cultivates resilience not only in muscles, but in mindset, encouraging persistence, reflection, and a sense of gratitude for the capacities that remain and those that can be restored. Ultimately, this journey toward stronger glutes after 50 is less about the muscle itself than about the broader principle of living with intentionality, respect, and curiosity toward the body. It is a commitment to showing up, to moving deliberately, and to nurturing a relationship with one's own physiology that is both scientific and profoundly human, a recognition that vitality is a lifelong pursuit shaped as much by mindset as by motion.